Christina Ng. I'm here with my friends Mac, Fiona, and Cal, and we're going to prepare a super nutritious cranberry bean and butternut squash soup with kale and sourdough toast. You guys ready? You guys ready to get some cooking done? Awesome. So, the primary ingredient, of course, in our butternut squash soup today is going to be the
squash?
The butternut squash, absolutely. So butternut squash is something that is, you know, it's definitely large, it's definitely round, and large round things can sometimes be hard to cut. You want to show us a tool that you have that's maybe helpful to not get cut? Super, so this is a cut glove, cut gloves. We love cut gloves, and if we can get them at the kitchen store, they are super awesome because they help us avoid getting cut. So we are using this awesome knife here. So number one knife safety rule, if we are not using the knife, we put it down at the side with the point away from us. So as we're holding the knife, and this goes for our friends Fiona and Cal too, as we're holding the knife, we want to make sure there's a firm grip, and we want to make sure we're in control of the knife and the knife isn't controlling us, okay? It is also okay at this point to make sure a parent is around if you're not comfortable. So it's always okay to ask for help. So number one rule when we're cutting, right, I think is we want to save all of our fingers. We'll keep our claw hand that holds down our produce, and then we're going to hold our knife firmly. So I'll start this part, and then if it's okay with you, I'll have you finish prepping the squash. Cool?
Yeah.
All right, so with a butternut squash, what we want to do is we're firmly holding our knife. I have my claw hand here. I want to make sure I'm taking this off here. I want to make sure I'm using the back part of the knife, and that's where it's going to give me the most power. If I'm here, I'm not going to be able to really put a lot of my weight behind it. But if I use more of the bottom part of the knife and I really go firm, then I'm going to get a good cut. We also want to make sure we're not doing this all day because we really want to eat soup, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start here towards the bottom of my knife, go with a big stroke. Whoops, there it goes. Nothing goes to waste here. We're going to make sure we compost ends and things we don't eat.
It's like a pumpkin.
It is like a pumpkin. I'm glad you mentioned that.
It looks like it in the...
It does. Have you guys had butternut squash before?
I have.
You have?
I don't think I've had a soup.
If you had to describe butternut squash, what do you think the flavor is like?
Pumpkin?
Pumpkin. Is it on the sweet side?
Yeah, I think on the sweet. Like in the middle.
In the middle, right?
Middle between those.
Totally.
Sweet and...
Yeah, I dig it. So there's two sides to this. There's going to be the neck and the bowl, right? And so can anyone tell me what's in the bowl that makes it so special? Yes?
The seeds?
The seeds, exactly. Anyone have a good idea about what to do with the seeds?
Compost.
Compost?
Can you like scoop them out?
Totally. You can scoop them out and...
Can't you use the seeds and eat them?
You can. That's a really good... You can eat them and you can plant them. Those are both totally amazing things to do. So, in our talk about having zero waste, it's great because we're only going to compost a little bit, but we can eat the whole fruit. So now, this is where you come in. I'm going to have you take a peeler, and you can go ahead and peel the skin, and then I'm going to move down to our next task. Cool. All right, my friend, we talked about knife safety, so we're going to go ahead and go with the onions. What is the worst part about cutting onions?
It can make you cry.
It can make you cry, right? So it's important to have a sharp knife around when we're doing onions to make sure we're slicing through the onion cleanly. How are we doing there?
Good.
Good, perfect. You want to show everyone how it's coming off there? Looks great. So I like what you're doing too. When you're peeling, and you're peeling down into the board, so we're not peeling into our body or peeling our finger off. Perfect. All right. So do you have any tips for me about cutting onions? I know you like to cook. I would love to hear from you.
Well, I know you should definitely peel the outside of the onion, like
totally.
this part.
Exactly. You should definitely peel that. Any other good tips?
Like you're gonna want to slice them in half first.
You are, exactly. I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a really, really good point. So check it out.
So it doesn't roll.
Exactly. That is perfect. So Fiona brought up a really good point. Oops, sorry. As we're cutting here, it's important to make sure, if we can, to have a flat surface so things aren't rolling around on us when we're cooking, right? Cool. So you got most of the peel off. If you wouldn't mind, we'll put the peel into the compost area.
Yeah, it probably helps cut it in half first, the peel.
Yeah, let's do that. How about we hold it with our claw hand here. take the knife, yep, our claw, and then we'll use this and cut straight down the edge. There's one, we'll do the other. Okay? And here's a trick. I'm gonna have you do this on your own.
Okay.
You're going to hold this, slice into the first layer just a little bit.
Okay.
Then you're gonna peel it around.
Okay, so like this.
Let's pick it up, perfect.
Pick it up.
Yep, that's great.
Okay.
We'll put our knife down. Perfect. And we'll peel that out there, and then we'll have a nice clean onion to slice. And I like what you said about having the flat surface too. I think that's the way to go with onions. So I gotta say, how's this working? It's work, huh?
Yeah.
It's not easy, but you know what? What's great is when we're cooking together, it makes us really feel like we've earned our meal.
Can I put this in the compost pile?
You can totally do that. That's great. That's great. Awesome. Can you get in there? Where's your little
Oh, there we
cut?
go.
Let's see.
Oh, the little cut's
Where's your
right
little cut?
here.
Perfect. So you'll do this. Watch. And we'll take off the first layer. Perfect. Awesome.
There we go.
All right. And then, so do you want to show me where we're going to do that flat cut?
Yeah, so you're gonna cut it right through the middle, right?
Yep. And let's keep our fingers in.
Oh, yeah.
That's great. Perfect. All right. Then we're going to slice it. So when
Right
you
on the lines.
Right on the lines. That's a good way to do things, right? We're gonna make sure we're slicing on the lines. Perfect. And if you could place them in the bowl, that'd be great. Why don't we do like a cut?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Top to bottom. Perfect. Perfect. And then keep moving your claw in as you're going. And if you want to at any point, you can move your board in. And you have more space. Bean and butternut squash soup. You have cranberry beans. Right. So I'm going to hand those off to you. If you had to guess, how long do you think dried beans take to cook?
2 hours?
2 hours. That's right on the money, and that's with a special step added, which is what we're going to do. We're going to soak the beans. So soaking them is going to allow the beans to hydrate and then shorten that cooking time to about 2 hours. If we didn't soak our beans, sometimes it can be a 2.5, 3 hour thing, but we want to eat soup. So if you could go ahead and open the bag and empty them, that'd be great. And then when we're soaking our beans too, this can be done overnight. So this is something you could totally do in advance, leave in your fridge, and we can make soup, and we can have beans ready for the rest of the week.
Do I put all of them in?
Please do, yeah, empty. And then what we're gonna do to soak. Wow, cool. Why do you think they call them cranberry beans?
They're the size as cranberry.
They're size of cranberry, and they have this kind of cranberry tinge to them, huh? All right. Whenever you guys are preparing beans, it's really important to use your eyes to make sure there's not, dirt or rocks and things, or things that aren't beans. Perfect. Let's take that guy out, and we'll put that to the side right here. All right. Go ahead and soak the beans 2 inches over the beans. That's awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And again, this can sit, keep going. We've got another inch to go. This can sit and wait for us in the fridge if we're doing it the night before, or we can have these soaking for at least 2 to 3 hours in advance, if not overnight.
Is that good?
That looks great to me, so we'll go over here. All right, my friend, it looks pretty clean. It looks really good. How do you feel about it? I think it looks great.
Good.
So we already have 2 flat sides here, and we're going to make sure. Oh yeah, what was your question?
Do I cut it like that? So it's flat on every side?
We can do that, but we're gonna we'll do this part together because this is pretty hefty, right? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold the squash here, and you can make sure your hands are in, like that. We're going to use this part of our knife, okay? Can you go all the way through? Perfect. Looks good to me. All right. So now we have our flat sides, and then now we're gonna cut long way. So we're gonna use the technique that we just did. We're gonna, get in there with the bottom. That looks great, right? And the blade is away from our hand, and then let's do one more like that. Perfect, perfect. Fiona, would you mind putting the onions into your bowl?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. Great. All right, so So now we have our flat sides, and then now we can cut into chunks. So we'll probably do like chunks like that. Thanks for waiting, man. Oh my gosh, thank you. So you are gonna be on the greens and herbs team. So have you had this green before?
Yes.
Pretty familiar, right? You live in California, so it's kale. Yeah, of course you do. So the easiest way to clean kale, the easiest way to clean kale is, I think, are you right-handed?
No, I'm left-handed.
You're left-handed, okay. So you're going to hold the kale in your right hand. I'm gonna kind of make a ring with my finger here, and I'm going to go down. So this is gonna go to our compost, which I'll bring over, and then we're gonna have our leaves here. So once we have our leaves, I like kale. I don't like to bite this much kale off at a time, right? So let's go ahead and tear it in just like bite-sized pieces. Would be awesome. Cool, thanks.
Need a compost?
Need compost, I love it, I love it. So as we're going along here and everybody's working, I'm loving how we're using each other as a resource. We're asking for help. And so we have our butternut squash, we have our onion, and we have our kale working. Good job.
Do I keep on going?
You keep on going, yeah. So that's a really good question. This seems like a lot of kale.
Here.
Oh, perfect. When we decide that we're ready to cook it, if you can believe it, this whole bunch will cook down into like this amount when we bring the heat. So if we're cooking for our family and we're cooking for a lot of people, it's important to cook a lot of greens. You guys like greens?
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm glad. So do you guys feel like so far, like this is something pretty manageable?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so.
Watermelon.
The only hard part is the squash.
Only hard part is the squash and getting through onion cries, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Lots of juice.
You're a trooper. I love it. Is this difficult? Oh, let's make sure we can get the part flat aside, right? So it doesn't fly off on you. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we talked about utilizing all parts of our ingredients that we have. We talked about possibly eating the seeds, right? Would you eat the seeds if they just came out of the squash?
Sure.
You probably could, right? But I think they would be better if we like toasted them a little bit. So we're gonna go for that, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Cool, I like it. So doing what you just did before, you're going to use your hand, hold it, you're gonna slice it in half. Perfect. All right.
That's cool.
Amazing. And so we can put our knife down. So we're gonna go ahead and scoop the seeds. So
It's like
whenever, it is, right?
Perfect for the spoon.
It's perfect. So when you do it, you can just make a circle shape, like an ice cream, like you're scooping ice cream out of a squash. Yep, like a U shape there. And then what we can do is we'll put it in this baking pan, and we can toast those up. Oh my gosh, Fiona, a professional onion job. Well done. So onions are actually within the same family as garlic, and they bring a lot of flavor, a lot of foundation to what we're making today.
Watch that.
So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the garlic, and so we're going to take maybe, let's do, how many cloves? Are you a garlic fan? How many cloves of garlic should we have in our soup today?
Do I put it in there?
Please.
Well, how many are there in the garlic?
That's a really good question. So this is a good size, bulb of garlic. There's probably 12, 15 cloves in here, but unlike onion, garlic is a punch in the face. Garlic brings a lot of flavor to the table. So
Let's do maybe 4 or 5.
I like where you're going with 4 or 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to break it apart, and then we'll pick out 4 cloves. And then, you know how to break those down?
Don't you just...
We can talk about how to break it down.
don't you like put it down and like slime it down with a knife?
You can do the garlic smash slam. We can do that. You can also...
So I got 1, 2.
You have 1, 2.
2.
These are really pretty.
Yeah.
These have like a purple tinge to them.
3. Wait, never waste.
That is so many seeds.
4.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot more than I expected.
A lot of squash.
All right, so what we can do is you can peel, or you can do the garlic smash, the help of the
I
garlic.
think we should do 1 more because this one's tiny.
Okay, please pick another pretty one out there.
There we go.
Cal, you muscling through the greens?
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome.
We're gonna put this.
We can put that right there. Yep. Okay, so,
Wait, compost?
oh, compost. Got it,
Sorry.
got it. Our
Can I have
compost,
compost too?
absolutely. Our compost is gonna be super happy.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we're gonna take our knife, we're gonna take it on the wider part here.
Okay.
And we're going to make sure this is on a flat, so I don't want it to be rolling.
Yeah.
As flat as possible. I'm gonna put this with the blade away from me.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give it a snap. Yep.
Wait, are there any other ways to do garlic?
There is, that's a good question. So I just did a small press down so I could use my hands. I didn't want to smash it all the way. All right. So we have that, and then when we've got our clean garlic, we'll get that off.
It cuts so easily.
It does, you have a sharp knife.
Yeah.
And then we can slice up. Or, I'm glad you asked, so the other way to do it would be you just do that again, have the blade out away from you, and just like you said.
Pull it down.
And then, did I get garlic juice in your eye?
It's a little itch.
Then the skin comes off and it's already smashed. And we can actually cut this off. We can actually cut the top off, use the whole smashed clove, and then it'll bring a milder flavor.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if you guys know, but the more we cut up garlic, the more we open it up, the more flavor comes up.
And the juice comes in.
That's exactly right. So the more we cut up garlic, the smaller, the more spicy it's going to be.
Okay.
All right, so if you could keep working on the garlic, we're on the kale. You guys almost ready to play with fire?
Ooh, yeah.
All right, so Matt, now that you've got the beautiful seeds out of the butternut squash, I'm going to have you drizzle them with a little bit of oil. And then that's going to help them really get a little bit of, get a really good roasted flavor, and it's perfect. Okay, and then you're going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt on top. We like to have a little bit of seasoning because it helps bring out the flavor of our ingredient. All right, and we can pop this into our oven and roast that. I think it'd be a really good topping for our soup.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks. All right, Cal, so we have our beans, and I think it's really important to talk about how we can add flavor to our recipe. So I think a really good way is sometimes if you have like a leftover carrot or some leftover herbs, it's a really good way to flavor and cook our beans. So we have our soaked beans here. So if you could, I would love you to just kind of chop this up into big pieces. When you're seasoning, your beans, your herbs don't have to be super tiny chopped because we can take them out afterward. But you know what? If you would like, we can also put them into tiny pieces. I'll leave the choice up to you. So when we're seasoning beans, it's important to use a different variety of herbs. So we have some, have you seen this herb before?
Yes, I think.
Yes. Friends, have we seen this herb, or what herb do you think this is?
What's the name of it?
It's like
Is it? No. It's not parsley.
So it's definitely something that we put on our Thanksgiving turkey, and it's actually native to San Diego. This is actually sage.
Sage.
Oh.
Sage, yeah. So sage has a really good, strong flavor to it, and I think it'll go well with our dish. So if you would like, you can chop up some parsley, you can chop up some sage, whatever you would like, whatever you think you're going to season. I would probably do maybe 2 or 3 leaves of sage, and then maybe a little bit of chopped parsley, and then we'll throw it in with our beans. I love it. So as we're cutting for you, especially with herbs, it's really important to keep your hand, your left hand, since you're, your right hand, since you're cutting left, and you can almost use your knuckle as a guide as you're cutting. So you're gonna, and then I can keep moving. Okay? And I'll take your branches over to the compost. All right. Looks good, looks good. So, once Cal's done chopping up the herbs, we're gonna turn around and we're gonna put it all together. That looks great. So if we could add your parsley into the beans, that would be great. You can put the knife to the side, pick up the board, and then just sweep her on in. Perfect. I love it, I love it. Well done, well done. Do you want to add carrot into the beans too?
Yeah,
I think that's good, right? Maybe a few slices of carrot I think would be great. And then you can use the same technique, right? Making sure you put in, really hold the carrot down so it doesn't, slip away from you.
Do I do big pieces or small pieces?
So when that's a good question. Cal just asked to do big, we're supposed to do big or small. The smaller the pieces, the more flavor is going to come out of it, right? And then if we use a big piece, the flavor will come out, but it's slower. So if we like carrot, when you think of carrot, what kind of flavor does carrot have? I think it's kind
Like sweet.
Exactly, right. So if we want if we like sweet things, we can add a lot of carrot. But if you just if you want a little bit of taste, you can add just a small amount of carrot. I leave it up to you.
Maybe like half of it.
I think half of it sounds good. All right.
So I finished the garlic.
You finished the garlic. I think we're just going to, I think we're good. I think we have all of our mise en place. Has anyone ever heard of the term mise en place? I'll say the term again. Mise en place. Mise en place.
French?
Yes, Cal, that's right. That's right. So mise en place is French for everything in its place. If one day any of you decide to go up and go to cooking school or train in classical French cooking, mise en place is the first thing they tell you about and teach you about, because it means I have everything prepared before I get cooking. So it looks like we have butternut squash, we have cranberry beans, we have kale, we have onions, and we have garlic. You ready to get cooking?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's turn the pan onto medium. Let's turn it down just a little bit.
Right there.
Let's go. Perfect, right there. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by sauteing what we call our aromatics, and they're called aromatics because they're going to smell really, really good. Okay. So we're going to start with a little bit of olive oil.
Okay.
All right.
So, 1,
2. Looks great to me. Awesome. All right, let's start with our onions.
Okay, very slow.
Very slow, nicely cut onions. That's a really good sound when we hear the onions sizzle. Super good.
Okay, now the garlic.
Sounds good. Some nicely cut garlic you've got there. All right, super awesome. Let's get stirring. You did such a good job on the kale, and now it's time to bring it to deliciousness. You ready? Mm-hmm. All right, so if you could, we're gonna turn on our pan here. We're gonna go ahead and turn that on. And a nice medium heat is gonna be good for us there. And so we're using olive oil. We like olive oil because it's got a good flavor. So if you could, do a 1-2 count of olive oil in our pan, keep going. Perfect, that's 2. You got it? All right, and so it's really important. So oil and water don't mix, and so it's important that when we're using kale that it's really dry. That way we know that the dry kale is not going to pop up in our face. And so we have our clean kale, we have our olive oil, and we have a little bit of garlic and salt to add a little bit of flavor. So if you could, we got our pan on heat. If you could, let's take the kale and we'll pop it in. And there might be a little bit of popping sound, so. Like I said before, it's pretty amazing. Even though it seems like a lot and it's filling up the pan, it'll cook down a lot. So I'll take the bowl. Thank you so much. Are you kind of hearing some of the dancing? The dancing of the kale and the oil? Mm-hmm. Awesome. So I'm going to hand this off to you. And so what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we hold on to the pan, and we're going to kind of just move it, but we don't need to stir it. Just kind of move some of the bottom leaves, and then and then move some of the top into where you've moved. Perfect, perfect. You can kind of see it already kind of sinking into itself. So the hot oil is breaking down the kale structure. Perfect, perfect. Whenever we're working with heat, it's really important to have control in your hand of the pan. And then it's important that we're slowly doing things so we're not making a kale explosion all over the kitchen.
Yeah.
Super awesome. All right. So you did something really good there. You made a little pocket. Could you do that for me again? And let's go ahead and put the garlic in the pocket.
All of it?
Yep. Perfect. And let's just, you got it? You can use your finger. That's awesome. Cool. And so let's keep stirring it around. Wow, Yeah, it already looks different, huh?
Yeah, it's greener.
It's a little bit greener, yeah. So the heat is bringing out some of the green and the beautiful color. How's the smell?
Smells good.
Smells pretty good, right? So I gotta say, right, if the food looks good, it smells good, I hope it tastes good, right? That's awesome. Super cool. What's our last ingredient we need to add to bring a little flavor?
Salt.
Salt? Perfect. So why don't we, I'll take the spoon from you, if you could add just 2 pinches for right now. And we'll do it all around. I like how you did that. That's perfect. We'll do that and we'll keep stirring. You're doing great. This is great. Oh my gosh. So I feel like it's been what? Maybe a minute and a half or so. Look how much the kale has come down. It's so crazy. So the method you're using right now, do you know what this method of cooking is called? It's called sauté. So sauté means we have a pan and we're cooking something relatively quickly in hot oil. We want to make sure the structure of the kale is broken down and we want to make sure kind of all is that emerald color. So I think, how much longer do you think we need?
Like a few minutes.
A couple more minutes to do this. Perfect. That looks good to me. Cool, all right. If you could, turn off the heat, please. Awesome. And it looks like we have our sauteed kale. Thanks a lot, Cal. Super. Alrighty, Mac, we're gonna slice into this sourdough bread here, and we're gonna use what's called a serrated knife to do it. So something important about a serrated knife, the motion is definitely a saw motion like we talked about instead of a push down motion. But we're gonna use a little bit of both to kind of get into this bread. Can you show me like the thickness of toast that you would like? Like when you're having to,
That much.
looks good. Just like a little shorter than an inch. We don't want a huge hunk of bread. So if you could, I'm gonna hand you the serrated knife. We'll hold the bread down. Hold the bread down with your cut glove hand. Get the bottom in there and then saw back. All right, let's hold up that slice. Cool, looks pretty holy to me. I think it's time to toast it up on the pan. Alrighty, Mac, so we put all that work into slicing our sourdough bread and now we're gonna toast it up. So we have a pan here, and if you could you add a little bit of olive oil into the pan for me, please? That would be great. I like how you did that. It's important to add nice and slowly and all evenly in the pan so that all the oil gets to all the bread. Alright, so how do you know a pan is hot enough or ready? How do you know?
If the oil easily goes around in a
Exactly. Good call. So if it moves around a little bit, then we know the oil is hot and it's ready. And I like what you're doing there, moving the oil to make sure it's evenly coating the bottom of the pan. You can always put your hand over it, just here, not too far, just to know if there's heat and make sure. It feels pretty good to me.
Yeah.
So if we could, let's lay our sourdough bread into the middle of the pan. Looks good, looks good. Wow, do you hear it?
Yeah,
You hear the little bit of sizzle? So if you could, if you're not toasting your bread in this pan, what's another good way to?
In a toaster.
In a toaster, totally, yeah. That's also a good way to do it. Can you think of like another bread that, you know, might go good, or a bread that you like that might go good with our soup?
French bread.
French bread. I love French bread and baguette with soup. I love that too. Or maybe like, there's a special bread called ciabatta. That's really good. I like that bread. Or even if you have like sandwich bread. I think sandwich bread toasted is super good too. So if we could, let's grab a pair of tongs. All right, and we're going to flip the bread. All right, 1, 2, 3. Oh, you got it? Halfway.
Oh, that's
Flip.
good.
Oh my gosh, it looks good. That's awesome. Yeah, I like that. Let's move it around a little bit so all the oil gets absorbed into the crumbs of the bread. I love it. I love it. So if you could put the tongs down for a second, that would be great. And then what we're going to do, if you want, just for a little additional flavor, let's put a little sprinkle of salt on the side we just flipped. I think that would be a really good additional flavor. Perfect, perfect. Alrighty, so we've got our sourdough toast, and we're going to probably toast this maybe for another, I don't know, maybe about a minute or so. And then we should be ready to prepare our soup.
Okay.
So we're at our last step and we're putting our soup ingredients together. So keep on going. So as everyone can see here, yep. As we can see here, Fiona's mashing up some of our cooked beans, some of our squash, and what else do we have in there?
We also have some herbs and onions and garlic.
That's right, that's right.
With some water.
With some water, and then
A
what
little
else
bit
do we
of
have?
bean water, right?
We do have a little bit of that bean water we saved. Awesome, awesome. So if you like a chunkier soup, some people like their chunky soups, right? We've had chunky soups before. You can keep the chunks of squash and keep the chunks of onions. If you like really smooth soups, do you like a smooth soup?
I like it kind of in the middle.
Kind of in the middle? Totally. So why don't I'll take that from you and let's switch over to using what's called our immersion blender. So have you ever used one of these things before?
No, I actually haven't.
No? All right. So a couple safety tips here when we have it plugged in. And it's probably important, like we talked about earlier, we can ask for help, right?
Yeah.
If we need it. So you have your towel here. We're going to hold the pot. And so this is the power button. So you can, it's pretty strong. So, all right. So we want to make sure this whole thing
It's under.
under, right? So we'll do it together here.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. You're a pro. You sure you haven't done this before?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Awesome. Alrighty, we've made it to the finish line, everybody. The soup is just about ready, but there's one more taste test it has to pass, and that comes from the 3 chefs who made it. So in my book, it's really important to taste the food before we eat it, so we know if we like it, because if we like it, then we can serve it to our family and we know it'll be good for them. So it's going to be really hot, so you're going to take your spoon, take a little. We don't want to taste it over the pot. We just need a little bit to make sure we have enough salt and seasoning in it. So take a little bit and take a small sip and see if you like it.
Good.
It's good?
Mm-hmm. Actually, really good.
Yeah. Cal, if you wouldn't mind, let's go ahead and ladle a little bit of soup in. How about 1 spoon? Perfect. We'll put that over there for you. Sorry about that. All right. Great.
Add some bread.
We'll add some bread, I think. That would be delicious. Some of the toast that Matt put together for us. All right. All right. How about a spoonful of kale on top of the bread? I think would be delicious. Maybe
More or less?
How about a couple more leaves? Make it a kale pile. Looks delicious.
There we go.
I think it looks pretty
Fabulous.
delicious.
Yes.
Fabulous job, guys. Let's give each other a round of applause. Alrighty. Thank you so much for cooking along with me and making butternut squash and cranberry bean soup.
You're welcome.
Ready to get cooking?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Let's turn the pan onto medium. Let's turn it down just a little bit.